About 9 months ago, I made a video about three-point lighting, and I just used a couple of lights that I made up and built here, and a few dolls that I had lying around to do this, and I did it on my desktop, and it was okay. It was a good video, and it had a fairly good response, but I decided it's about time I updated that. I mean, it has been a while, so here is a new video, and it's all about three-point lighting for YouTubers and creators in general. Basically, it's for you. So I hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. Now, some of you might be wondering what a tin of black spray paint has to do with three-point lighting. Others of you might be wondering who the hell sold Tim a tin of spray paint. Haven't they seen the court orders? Well, I can guarantee to you that neither of those things is entirely insignificant. But if I'm going to do this properly, I'm going to need somewhere decent to set the lighting up, and that means I'm going to have to build something, and that means a montage. Yeah, I realise I just probably got everybody excited by pulling out the timber and power tools and nails and screws and all that sort of stuff, and fair enough too. I was even going to do some drywalling and maybe a little bit of plastering in there to make it really cool, but then I realised I can do the same thing with a cardboard box and a few rolls of duct tape, so I'm just going to do that. Okay, now why have I gone and let's line that up properly. Why have I gone and painted the inside of a box black? Well, the answer to that is I'm going to use that as an example room to set up three-point lighting. Actually, a whole pile of different lighting examples in, and I didn't want any spill light sort of distracting from what it was that I'm going to be showing you. So, and I wanted it to be a decent size as well, so that the lights that I'm using would work in there, and I can show you how three-point lighting works and how it can look and how it should look when you set it up properly. So what I've got here is this matte black box down here. It doesn't look all that black inside it at the moment from here, but I've painted inside it with a matte black paint, so it's as non-reflective as I'm going to get with a bit of cardboard and a spray can. So let's just have a quick look at it here. And what I'm going to do in this box is I'm going to set up some figures sitting inside here and some lights and stuff. And the reason I've got this black box is so that you can see the effectiveness of the lighting that I set up. First of all, though, I'm going to show you what happens when a new vlogger sets up a desk on one side of their room and there's a window on the other side, because that happens all the time. Let's check that out. Now, here's something we've seen all far too often, where somebody's got a window in their room, but they've got a desk on the other side of the room, so that they're facing away from the window when they're shooting, and they've got a webcam or something on the computer on the other side of the room. All too often we see this, and what happens is that the camera ends up overgaining like this to try and get a little bit of texture in the face, and you end up with this really horrible, nasty, grainy image. I'll just zoom in a bit here. And this is the kind of thing that we see quite often with a lot of YouTubers who are just sort of starting out, and they haven't really thought about lighting, and quite often blame the webcam. And well, to be fair, webcams are pretty nasty, and so you will get this kind of thing with a webcam, but this is completely avoidable by having a bit of a think about how the light's going to work, so that it's not all coming from behind over here, and get some more light coming up on front. And yeah, first thing I wanted to just reiterate before I get into all of this is, don't have your major light source behind you, because you're just going to get this kind of thing. Now, if I was to put a bit more light on the other side here, so I put some light in front of the actor here, you can just see this is a very small amount of light, and suddenly it's making a big difference. That window behind is still nasty. It's a really bright light and hard to look at. But when we're here, suddenly I can turn the ISO down a little bit, and on this footage, and I can just tell that to mellow out a wee bit and darken, so that you can actually get some texture in the face. It's still not a great image at all, and that horrible light behind is really nasty. So even when you do put a reasonable amount of light in front, it's still going to have that huge glary backlight behind. Now if I increase the amount of light that I've got coming in the front, I can decrease the ISO at the same time, and as you can see, as that light becomes more significant at the front, the image has got more contrast, it's got better shape, and we get to a point there where it's actually acceptable image of the character here. You've got a reasonable amount of light and shadow on the face, but you've still got that horrible glary light at the back, which just isn't nice. So whatever you do when you're shooting YouTube videos, don't have your only window behind you, and certainly don't get into a situation where it's the only light in your room and your camera starts having to really grain it up to try and get some sort of image of your face going. I've got a number of people that I talk to who do this all the time and don't want to change it, and it's really frustrating because their channels could be so much better. Okay, so as you can see, that was pretty nasty. Now I'm going to show you what happens when you turn that person around and have that dominant light in front of them instead of behind them. I'm going to use the same lights, but this time I'm going to put it on the same side as the camera. So here's another setup where we've got that same amount of window light. I've got the same two bright lights at the same distance shining on the character here with the plain background. As you can see, it is much better lit, and you can get much more detail out of it, though it does look like a bit of a cave dweller in here. And if I just reduce the shutter speed a bit or increase the ISO, those sorts of things, I'm just going to mess around with that a little, and you can see that there's more or less texture coming through, but it's now a very flat image because you've got this is what we call a single point light system, where we've just got light coming from one place onto the actor, and it's not giving any shape or anything. And I'll show you now by introducing another light how some shape can really start having some effect. And before I carry on, I'll just show you the lights I'm using. It's these two here. They're a pair of lights from they're Vijim lights from Ulanzi, and I'm using these here just as a primary sunlight source for these first couple of things. And what I'm going to do now is, instead of having these two lights together like I've just been doing, which is just shining them both brightly at you from here, I'm going to split one aside and one right around the side of the figure. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that, and then you can see what the effect is. So here you can see I've got Ian McKellen in this nice black box, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one light down here. This is going to be the main source of light, so this is what we're going to call a fill light, and then I'm going to put a key light over to the side, and I'm just going to put that one over here like that, and what I'll do is I'll turn this one on full, and that one there I'm going to turn on 50% and turn it on and off, or hot cover it, and show you what the difference is. So you'll see what I mean about light from different sources creating different shape. So here we are showing Ian McKellen with just the one light on in front at the moment, which is the fill light. And now I'm going to turn this other light on the side, which is a key light. Now it's going to start off quite bright, and I might just leave it at that full brightness, and I'm just going to move that around a little bit, and you'll be able to see what sort of difference that makes as I move it. First of all is the shadow off his hand, which you might generally not want, but that's okay, we'll leave that there for now. Now I'm just going to hide that light away so that it's not having any effect on him, and then I'll bring it back, and now you can see what I mean about it making a difference in shape. What it's doing is it's giving you more light on one side of his face, so that you can actually see that there's some depth and shape in it, and you can change the amount of that light to make that more or less pronounced. You could also stand that light up on end a little bit just to get a different effect, bring it up high even, or in closer for more intensity. What I'm going to do at the moment actually is just dim that light down a little bit, and you can see as I move it around, it kind of changes the amount of shape. If I wanted it over the other side, you can see it's doing the same sort of thing over here. So this is what you can do with 2-point lighting. There's a key light and a fill light. Now for this last bit, I'm going to show you some 3-point lighting. This is where you've got 3 lights coming from different angles. You've got the fill light, which is coming straight from the lens, so that's coming straight from the camera, pretty much just fills in everything. You've got a key light, which brings up some shape around the side. I've got a light up here that's doing that at the moment. And then the third one is going to be a backlight or a hairline light, and you'll see why it's called that. And the purpose of a hairline light is to separate the character from the background of the image. I'll just show you that now, and to do this I'll show you the lights I'm using to do this with. It's this set of 3 lights that I've got here from Small Rig. Basically they're miniature movie lights, and they've got all the same things that movie lights have at the moment on them. I've just got a simple diffuser on each of these lights, which is just a bit of silicone that comes up over the front of them. So I've just turned my studio light here off, and I've got the first of these little lights down here. I'm just going to hold the button in on top, and that comes on, and we can have a look and see how that fill light works with Gandalf. So there you can see we've got the fill light coming in. It's a fairly smooth image on the nose. You can have a look at the shape of the shadow around the nose and the beard and that sort of thing, and it's pretty flat because you just got a single point light coming from one direction. So now what I'm going to do is turn on the second light on the side. This is the key light, and as you can see straight away, that makes quite a substantial difference to the image. It lightens up down that side, gets rid of the really harsh shadow, and starts to give us a bit of shape. If I turn that up, it gives you a bit more shape, and you can light it around. As you can see, that has quite a profound effect of adding a lot of shape into Ian McKellen there. And now I'm going to turn on this third light, which is up in the back corner up here, and that's going to have an effect up around the edge, around the top of the character. So I'll just hold the button down on that, turn that one on, and boost that one up a little bit as well. There we go. So there you can see what that hairline light's doing, and why it's called a hairline light. So if I just cover that one there over, you can see what effect that's having down on the side. Sometimes you might want to have a hairline light that's a bit broader or a bit more direct, and shape the light, and that can go with any of these as well. You can get a much broader range of effects by shaping the lights. So there you go, there's just the one light, then there's the second light and the third light. I can just show you what the key light does all by itself. You can see what it brings in, and then you can see what the hairline light does all by itself when I cover over the other two, and that's those two on one side, and add the fill light back in. So there you go. It's a really easy thing to do, and as you can see, it really brings up some shape in the character, especially if I start moving it around and it doesn't feel two-dimensional or flat or anything like that. You can see it's actually brings the whole thing to some sort of dimensional life and gives it some real shape. And so that gives you the real basic understanding of what 3-point lighting is. You've got your fill light coming from the front, that just generally lights up the whole scene to give you a good flat overall light. You've got the key light off to the side. You can even have more than one key light, by the way, if you really want to, but for 3-point lighting we've got a key light off to the side, and as you can see what that does is it just adds some shape. And then you've got a backlight or a hairline light, which I don't actually have in this particular shot, but if you did, then that hairline light helps the character stand out and be a little bit separated from the background so it doesn't all blur in together. And there you go, that's 3-point lighting. Now, it's not always possible to do that where you're set up doing your vlogging. So there's another thing you can do to kind of cheat 3-point lighting using 2 lights. And that's really handy because there are a lot of 2-light kits that you can get with a couple of softboxes that you can use to do this, and I'll show you how to set that up now to desk. Now here's what could probably be considered a rather different 2-point lighting system. You see here's Ian McKellen sitting at his desk here, and he's just facing a dark blank wall. There's nothing of any great consequence there. There might be like a computer monitor or something, and there's a camera set up there or something along those lines. And I've got these two lights here that are sitting off to the side and slightly behind them. Now I'm just going to turn off my studio light here so that you can see the effect that the lights that we've got in here have. Okay, so I've got these two lights and they're angled in such a way that the edge of spill on them is lighting up one side or the other of the face. So they're both acting kind of as key light and also as hairline light. And if I just take the camera in here a wee bit, I'll be able to show you. You can kind of see how they're doing a bit of key light work and they're doing a bit of hairline work there, but not much on the front of his face. Now if you've only got two lights, this can be a really useful way of setting up your studio, because now what I can do here is put a reflector on the wall, so it doesn't need as much space and it doesn't need a power source or anything like that, but it's just a piece of card I've got here, and I can just drop that in front here and act that as a reflector on the wall, and then straight away you can see that the light bouncing off the reflector is acting as a fill. So I'll just drop that down there again, a bit unceremoniously, but that's alright. And what I'll do here is I'll just zoom in a wee bit on the character, and I'll just lift that up to get that angle right. There we go. And then I can just bring this reflector back up in a bit. Here we go, so you can get a better angle on it here. If I bring the reflector up, you'll see how it provides some fill light. You can see it coming in on him as I lift it up slowly. If I drop it down, lift it up, drop it down, lift it up, and you can see there that the light bouncing off the two rear lights, the two key lights, provides the fill by bouncing off the wall. And I'll just pull the camera back so you can get a better look at the whole setup. Now if you don't have much physical space in your studio area or your vlogging room, then this is something that can be really useful. So you've just got these two lights here, this one and this one over here, and they're bouncing off that, and that's basically acting as a large softbox or reflector and giving you your third point of light. So there you go. If you've only got a small room to work in and you just want to buy a set of two decent strong lights, you can do this as well and get a very good result out of it. So I'll just show you that again. There it is without the reflection. I'll take away the light on that side. As you can see, there's providing some hair light as well as key light, and I'll show you taking this side away and bringing up the bouncer again. Gives you a fill light, so you're not getting the harsh shadows, but you're still getting plenty of shape. Now there's one more lighting setup that I could have shown you, but I don't have the gear for it in that size, and that's where you might have one really big strong light and a big softbox, and you can put that up over one side behind you and have that bounce off the wall in front of you, so behind the camera, but also have another bouncer off to the side, so you can have one primary light source that acts as a hairline light but also bounces off to act as a fill light and a key light at the same time. If you've got the nous for that, and you need a bit of a directional light, and you can end up paying quite a bit for that, but if you've got a desk that's stuck in a corner of a room, then you can put a reflector up in front of you and a reflector up to your side and get the effect of 3-point lighting just from a single light source. Anyway, I hope this has been useful to you. I know it's just been a quick video showing you roughly how all of this works. Now there's a whole heap of gear that you can use to do this. First of all, I've got a link to these small rig lights over here that I've got down below, and those Vijim Ulanzi lights as well. I've also got a link to a set of aperture LED panels, which is absolutely fantastic, and that's these ones that I've got running up in the studio here. I use them all the time, and I've got two more up here for my key and fill light as well. So I use those all the time for doing this kind of thing. And also a link to some low-cost softboxes that I found on AliExpress, so that if you don't have the space I've got here to put 3-point lighting in, then you can use these two lights to do what we just did over there, and then you can just get a reflector or a white glossy paint and put it up on the wall over here, and you're away laughing, and you've got some really good quality light. Anyway, I hope this has been useful to you. If it has, please do click down here and subscribe, because that's just a really awesome thing to do, and it will make sure that you see my future videos. And you can also watch this video and this video as well, because YouTube picked them just for you, because they know that you like them. And I will see you in another video very soon. Have a great day.